Writing ratios in simplest form. This is something where a ratio is a fraction, but sometimes we want to write it in a simpler form than the actual numbers that we're comparing. For an example, let's say you have a parking lot. So here's a parking lot and here's the parking spaces. And in each parking space there's a car. And let's say we have some Toyotas, so they're marked with a T. Let's say we have some Toyotas. Let's say we have some Fords, and those will be an F. We'll have some Fords. Let's say we also have some Chevys. Those would be a C. And let's say we have a couple Hondas, which would be an H. Okay, now if I want to write a ratio in simplest form of Toyotas compared to Fords in this parking lot, well, how many Toyotas? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Toyotas, and then Fords I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Now if I want to compare Toyotas to Fords, so a ratio of Toyotas to Fords, it would be 5 to 4, which is in simplest form. It's 5 to 4. But let's say we want to write a ratio of Toyotas or of Fords to the total number of cars in the parking lot. So we have 4 Fords, and then how many other cars do we have in the parking lot? Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So there's 14 total cars. And in this case, we can simplify because the top number can be divisible by 2, and so is the bottom. They're both divisible by 2. So if we divide the top by 2, we get 2, and the bottom by 2, we get 7. So we can write our ratio in a simpler form. And what this means and what the ratio represents is in this parking lot, every 4 cars out of 14 is going to be a Ford. So there's 4 Fords for every 14 cars. So if I just take 14 cars in a parking lot, 4 of them are Fords. Which also means that if I only took half of those, if I only took 7 of those cars, 2 of them would be Fords. And this could be expanded. Let's say this is one parking lot, but it represents the same ratio, or let's say the same ratio exists in this parking lot as it does all across the city. And let's just say that there's 70 cars in the city, or I guess it would be more of a town if there's only 70 cars. But let's say there's 70 cars in this town, and it has the same ratio. It's a ratio of 4 cars. 4 of every 14 cars are Fords. So what I can do is set up an equivalent ratio. So if 4 cars out of every 14 is Fords, then if I know I have 70 cars, well, how many of those are going to be Fords? And we can do that with, we'll put a question mark there. And we'll explore this a little bit. If I know that 4 over 14 can be simplified to 2 over 7, right? We already showed that. We can simplify it. Well, we can go the other way as well. How do I get from a 7 to a 70? Well, I multiply that by 10. And with fractions, if you multiply the denominator by a number, you can do the same thing to the numerator. So 2 times 10. And you'll get 20. And that'll be an equivalent fraction. So what I can say is that for every 70 cars, 20 of them are Fords. So I'll have 20 Fords if there was 70 cars total. And that's just a little bit of working with ratios, putting them in simplest form, and then also writing an equivalent ratio. And we'll explore equivalent ratios a little bit more in the next video.